Hello and welcome to another episode of the Kennel NRL podcast. Lovely to have everyone here this evening. There is a lot to discuss. If you guys have seen the thumbnail, I do have some thoughts on the loss against the Broncos. I do have a lot of thoughts about that, and I'll say that there already has been some discussion brewing in the chat, which I absolutely love. So to everybody who's already in the chat and left some messages, welcome. But before all that, I want to give a big hello and welcome to Dib. Hello, Dibbo. How you doing?
Good, mate. Good. Well, just catching up on the comments. What's happening here? They're all fighting amongst each other. Jeez, there's a lot of comments. What time do they start?
Oh, they started at
Bloody
4
hell.
o'clock.
Looks like you got attacked in some of the comments as well.
Look, I have a lot of
Just skimming
thoughts.
through it. Oh man, that's all right. Far out. Jamie's here.
I
Far
want to give a
out.
big shout
Wow,
out to
they're on
everyone
fire.
in the
Man, there's so
comments.
many comments to go through. We won't catch up to them. Started off on
Sienna
fireworks.
put a message in at 4:30. Hello, Brian started messaging him 7. How you doing? Hus87, welcome. Then we've got Knox. How you doing, Knox? G'day, mate. Morris is here. As always, Omar A, welcome. Rayman, good to see you again, brother. Magas is here. Hello, Magas.
So we
How
got
you
a
doing?
Broncos fan on here.
Abraha, welcome. Doggy71, g'day, brother. Buffalo Snowy, good morning to wherever you are. Jamie, welcome. And I'm sorry that was a poor trip for you down in New South Wales. Eddie Abs, good evening. How are you, mate? Bilal Abu Khalil, welcome. Good to see you in here. MS, welcome. Norm, good to have you here. Now, there's a lot to discuss, and I know everybody's riled up, but I have to start with this, right? I have to really start with this, and I have to make a comment. There's a lot to go through, but I want to I want to start, I guess, with talking about Galvin, right? This poor bloke is 19 years old. He's made tough decisions, and comes to a new club, and even the fans at the new club are just as dumb as the fans in the old club. We put it on Tigers fans for being stupid fans. We put it on Eels fans for being stupid. Seems like it's a rugby league thing and not an individual club thing. To be blaming Galvin for that loss when, quite frankly, I thought he was okay for 50 odd minutes. And it was the team that shit themselves in that last 10 minutes, not Galvin. It wasn't one individual player. Everyone's blaming Galvin, and then they're saying, "Oh, we shouldn't have let Sexton go," but Sexton was the 7, and Sexton is the 7, and he did nothing in that last 20 minutes. Now, the hypocrisy is sort of frustrating me because, Galvin's a 19-year-old guy. He sort of took a chance on us, and we've taken a chance on him. And, it's just moronic. I think it's absolutely moronic that the fans will buy into this media hysteria that's trying to blame Galvin for everything that's going wrong. When, quite frankly, the problems with what's happened at the Bulldogs and what's happened over the last 2 weeks really have very little to do with Galvin and everything to do with both leadership and coaching. I know Bulldogs fans are going to disagree with me. I know Bulldogs are going to say, "Oh, there are flow-on effects and there are this and there are that." All of that may be true. But when you go look back at it, right, against the Panthers, we played very, very well and lost by 2 points to a try that was scored off a charge down. Everybody agreed that the Bulldogs played very, very well. Everybody agreed that the Bulldogs were one of the form teams in the competition and that we would win against most teams on our day. That's the first thing. We lose to the Broncos in what can only be labeled as a diabolical performance in the last 20 minutes to a very desperate Broncos. And now everybody wants to blow the ship up and wants to start all over again. It's so frustrating sitting there and not seeing the logic in fans thinking because I see all the comments. Like I run a page, a Facebook page, almost 15,000 people, and I see the comments. Instagram, I see the hundreds and hundreds of comments that people put up there that and a lot of it makes no sense. They just want to engage in emotional bashing because they need to let their frustrations out. That is very, very poor, in my opinion, from the fans. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we lost to the Broncos because we got cocky. If we had come out winning 30-6 or 24-6 or whatever the score may have been and not absolutely gone to bed, right? If we hadn't gone to bed in that last 20 minutes, people will be coming out and saying, oh, Galvin's awesome. What a great move. Sexton can leave now. Dump him to New South Wales Cup. Honestly, the difference between positivity and negativity is so small. It's so small, right? The loss to the Broncos was more a coaching. I would blame Ciraldo more than I would blame Galvin for this loss, right? That loss was a Ciraldo coaching fumble, and that's okay. The guy is a rookie coach. He took the Bulldogs on in 2023 in a really bad situation, came here to do the hard yards. We're still equal second with the Storm. We've got 9 games to play. We've got a good 4 weeks to come. We're versing fairly easy team, and you're sitting here and everybody wants to blow the whole thing up because Phil Rothfield is coming out trying to attack Gus and everything that Gus has done. I don't think that it's been Galvin that's derailed the season. I don't think that it's Galvin to blame at all. Honestly, for me, it's always like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Where have you guys come from to say all this? The Broncos got lucky that the Bulldogs put the cue in the rack. We completed that 50%. No team completes at 50% and wins. No team completes at 50% and wins. Right? It just, I don't know. Like, honestly, if there is logic in people's arguments, I'm happy to accept them. But there really isn't logic. There really isn't logic. A lot of it is just emotional blabbering that makes no sense. And look, if you want to listen to Donkeys fans, right? They're lucky to be where they are, right? They'll be lucky to make the 8. They'll be lucky. They're going to be making up the numbers, right? They still have shown against the Sharks, they were absolutely abysmal in the first half. Against the Bulldogs, they were abysmal in the first half. There's so many different things that I think, we could talk shit about the Broncos, but I won't because it doesn't really matter. What I do think is that the Bulldogs, it's good to be under the radar. It's very good to be under the radar, and I love it when the media writes us off. I remember last year we lost 2 or 3 games at the back end of the season, and everyone was like, oh, the Bulldogs are this, the Bulldogs are that, blah, 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 blah. Then, right, we come out against the Manly. We did lose that game by 2 points, but that was inexperience. That was our first finals game together. But we outplayed the Manly Sea Eagles. We were a better team than the Manly Sea Eagles for 75 minutes in that finals game last year. After what? 2 really poor losses to Manly and the Cowboys. So again, a lot of it just doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's unfounded, and I think it's, I don't know. I just think it's really unbelievable, in my opinion, that the fans are so fickle after everything that's been achieved. Sorry, that's my rant. I had to go on that rant, Dibbo. I apologize, but I had to go on that rant.
Jeez whiz. It looks like you lost some sleep over the following days after that game. Must have, how many coffees did you go through?
I couldn't speak for half an hour. I couldn't speak for half an hour after that.
We were at the game. That was, oh my God. I'll tell you what's funny. I was with some mates that are both Canterbury and Broncos fans. So the boys that were Broncos fans were absolutely copying it from the Dogs fans. Very vocal, mind you. But that last 15, 20 minutes, mate, I tell you what, the tables turned. And I think by full time, I joined in on the chorus of na, 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 hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. I think I was singing. You know what? It was such good fun, man. We gave them the sing along home. That was good. It was 3 blokes versus about 50,000 people. Or how many was there? It was a lot. I think we didn't care that we were going to get jumped. But anyways, it was a good day. I think we had about 20 mates or Canterbury fans. And honestly, no word of a lie, up to about the 60th minute, it was probably one of the most uneventful, crappiest, not the crappiest, but crappy game. Honestly, like, Dogs were up 16-0 at halftime. Probably could have been double that without trying, to be honest. And then going through the motions for the first 20 of that second half, they went through the motions and they thought, oh, we must have this in the bag. And got too comfortable. And then Ezra Mam kept throwing the ball around, and every time they seemed to go wide, Canterbury forgot how to defend. All of a sudden, it was weird. There was no defensive line. There was holes. Blame who you want to blame on getting complacent, but they just lost their shape. And the Broncos came roaring home. And obviously a lot of really, really angry Canterbury fans because it's back-to-back losses, and they haven't had that since last year. And they've had a really good run, and it meant they gave up, I think, top spot on the ladder. Could have remained there this weekend, albeit some hot hometown decisions for Canberra Raiders. And yeah, it would have been quite ironic. A loss might go to the top of the table. But, I mean, I guess if you think about the bigger picture, you can't win them all. You're also missing, I think, 4 players to reps, plus a few of the injuries. I mean, there's been off days this year. It happens with every side. It's happened to sides that have gone on to win premierships. Can't be too critical of your side. Yes, it does piss you off, especially that you really want to beat the Broncos. But you can't win them all. But that's all right. Back-to-back losses. It's a nice big wake-up call. Better than sitting there and getting cocky and having an easy game and an easy win. The good thing is they get 4 players back this week. I'm sure there'll be a big turnaround for them this week.
Yeah, look, the thing I want to sort of mention was that loss was our attitude and our.
I told you after such attitude, a big game, and you get a team missing players, and it's ugly.
It was our attitude and our mindset that was poor in the last,
gets 20 minutes. Ugly. They're tough, those games. It gets ugly.
And look, to be honest, like. I bring that loss down to two things, right? You can agree with me, you can disagree with me, but if you're not, if you want to sit there and continue to blame Galvin, I think that you're buying into the media and you're letting the media seep into your.
You can't blame Galvin,
but that's my point, right? But
it's a mental midget. It was a team effort. Why are they going to single out one guy?
Poor coaching decisions. Right, poor coaching decisions. I think that the rotation was poor. I think that the decision to move Burton to center was a poor decision. I think you can move.
Well,
look, you can move Sexton around, you can move Galvin around, you can move Money around, but I think you need to have that consistency with Burton. I think that was the first thing.
I'll tell you what he's got to his disposal. At least he's in such a cushion position. He can afford to try it at this stage of the season. He can afford to give it a go.
Look, I was going to get to that.
It didn't work out. It hasn't worked out so far. If you want to, I think it worked out down the track, but so far, it's first go. Honestly, I wasn't expecting the world right away. So depends on the expectations.
But it was look. I'm just saying that loss was not on one individual player. That loss was on.
No, of course not.
That loss was on the coach. I think there was some poor coaching decisions. Right, there were some poor coaching decisions, especially having Hopper on the bench, not using him. And I think the other thing was, and this, look, I love kick out, but there was no leadership out there on the field, right? What we lacked, if you remember last year against the Roosters, when Burton moved to center, we looked just as shambolic in attack. And then against the Broncos, we also looked just as shambolic. Look, we did well in the first half, right? We put them under a lot of pressure, and you even heard it over the microphone. Our plan was to attack Adam Reynolds, put him under pressure, and it was working. We went away from that completely in the second half. We went away from what the game plan was. So it was poor coaching decisions, and it was no leadership. Kikau did not have the leadership on the field to rally the troops and tell them to pull your freaking heads in because we're going to lose this one. Right? Again, this is not an attack on Kikau, but it shows you the value of someone like Crichton in our team. Right? He is the coach. He is the one that will sit us there and tell us, shut your mouths. This is how we're going to play. And he keeps the team intact.
Should have made Berto the leader out there. Somebody pointed it out to Yam.
Could have made Berto. He was captain before, and that didn't work for us either, though.
You know what? I think it was worth a shot for what he did. Sometimes you got to sacrifice victory to see where you're at. I mean, obviously, we're just fanboys over here. Everyone else, including in this chat. We all don't know what goes on behind those doors. You know, these guys are the consummate professionals. And I'm not saying just for the players. I'm saying for the coaching staff, for the football administration. We all don't know what's going on behind the doors. There might have been a sit-down last week, the previous weeks, with all the players buying in. We don't know for sure. But let's give it a go this round. We're missing players. They're missing players. Let's give it a shot. Let's maybe prepare for the bigger picture. Who knows? But it was Serraldo thought he'd give it a shot. It didn't pay off in that game. Well, it was paying off for a while, but I guess the end result, because of that last 20 minutes, it didn't pay off for him. So the boys got a good wake-up call. They got to get up for a nice away game. I believe it's away against the Cowboys.
Yes, yeah, it's up there in
nice,
North Queensland.
Perfect. You got 4 boys coming back. Hopefully they come back nice and healthy. Maybe some other additions. I haven't had a chance to see your lineup, to be honest. But nice.
We'll talk about that.
We had a tough game against Penrith. And then we had a really ugly game against the Broncos. And I told you this would be really, really tricky. How do you go up against a game after where you play a smashing team like in Penrith and he's played in the game of the season to come up against a team that, oh, yuck, this team's missing 4 or 5 players. Anyways, now he's got a nice trip up the dairy farm. What do they call it these days? Sorry.
Queensland Country Bank Stadium.
How many name changes? Wasn't it 1300 Smiles once upon a time?
Yeah. I think it's just who's paying for the naming rights.
Man, why don't they just keep it its original names? Like for me, ACO will always be Stadium Australia. Allianz will always be the Sydney Football Stadium.
ACO will always be Telstra Stadium for me. I still call it a Telstra sometimes. Do you remember back in the early 2000s? It was Telstra for a long time.
It took me a while to catch on, but Stadium Australia, Sydney Football Stadium, Cogger Oval, Leichhardt Oval, Belmore Sports Ground. Put the sponsorships there as much as you want, but those names, those Brookvale Oval, what do they call it? 4 Points Park or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. It's changed a few times.
Always had to retain its original names. You know, Parramatta Stadium, Bank West, or whatever, CommBank. Anyways.
I want to give a quick shout out to Jamie, $10 super chat. He says it was the whole team that dropped the ball in that game. Can't blame the one player.
They couldn't even get a defensive line opening in the last 15, 20. Did people not see that?
Yeah.
Did no one see their defensive line last 15, 20?
Do you know what? We couldn't even pack a scrum. We couldn't even pack a scrum.
What were they doing?
That's what I mean. My point is that, you can...
Every time man went left, it's like panic stations, all right. It's like panic stations went out there.
It's
honestly
it's interesting
when we've
lost with
what was an
complete breakdown.
Anyways,
yeah, it was a complete breakdown of our defensive systems in that last 20 minutes. Honestly, they were playing like amateurs.
Some Canterbury fans, they were so critical of their team. Like, bro, please, you're sitting second.
We've been through the doldrums. Hey, the Dogs fans have been through the doldrums. So when we're overly
all right,
critical,
they've only lost four. Is it 4? They only lost 4 all season.
4 games all season.
Some teams lose that in the first 4 rounds. 4 all season.
Look. If you listen to Broncos supporters,
but you're missing players, and the coach obviously experimented and got it wrong. So. Nothing to be overly, I know they're critical. I'd be shitty as well, but some fans have been, it's like the doomsday has come or something, I think he'll be up for it this week and next week as well.
I think the truth is that the media plays a big role in getting into the fan base's psyche. And the fan base reacts emotionally to that, as opposed to thinking critically and logically about the different situations that are happening. We try and react to NRL 360 to 100% footy, all these things in an emotional way as opposed to in a factual way. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. So Manly, Canberra are doing very well this year, right? Canberra are first. They've won 13 games. Everyone else has only won 11. They're flying. They've got a great young team. They're going to be one of the best teams in the competition for a very long time. But here's the thing. They're letting go 2 of their most experienced and 2 of their best players next year. Okay? They're getting rid of Fogarty to Manly next year, and they're getting rid of Papali'i, right, to whoever next year. Now, if you want to look at it, right, you can say to yourself, well, what are they doing? Are they blowing up? Their team? Do they not want to succeed next year? What is the situation? Why are they getting rid of them? But the media isn't doing that. Number one, because the media have taken Galvin as their whipping boy, and they love using him. Even on this podcast, we've seen when Galvin is mentioned, when Galvin is spoken about, it gets more clicks. That's the first thing, right? The second thing is the Dogs have one of the loudest and most active fan bases in the game. So anything to rile up that fan base, they will do it, right? So for me, I completely get why the media does it. I get why the media does it. They hate Gus. They want to rile up a big fan base. Galvin gets the clicks. It's just a perfect storm of media, right? All we've done is we've lost 2 games in a row by a combined 6 points. I'm going to repeat that. I want to repeat that, right? Just so people get where we are. We've lost 2 games in a row by a total of 6 points. One of them was to the Panthers, who came out and played a 9 and 9.5 out of 10 game. It was the game of the season, and the Bulldogs were on top for a majority of that game. I don't know how much I need to say this, or I don't know how much I can mention this. We've lost 2 games, and the way we lost the Broncos game was very bad. I'm not downplaying that it was very bad. But again, we've lost 2 games in a row by a combined 6 points. If you think that because of that, the Dogs should be written off, or that all of a sudden the Broncos, who have lost 8 or 9 games this season, a lot of them extremely poorly, right? And even on the weekend, the last 2 or 3 games, other than the Warriors, have actually been pretty shit, right? And it's, it really doesn't make any logical sense. And I'm happy that the media is writing us off, because the minute we win 2 or 3 more games in a row, right, all of a sudden, Dogs firming for minor premiership, Galvin signing, proving to be masterstroke, bro. Honestly, and this is a call out to all the Bulldogs fans. You need to calm down and assess things logically. Ciraldo is giving himself some breathing space to make some decisions when you get a great player like Galvin into your system. Bro, are you telling me, right, if the Broncos could afford someone like Galvin, they wouldn't have gone for him? Or if Melbourne could afford him, or if it's only logical that if you have the opportunity to sign someone like Galvin, you will do it, right? And don't forget, we've lost that game, right? Missing 5 of our regulars. We were missing Crichton, Kiraz, King, and Mann. 3 of those are arguably our most important players, right? And then the whole thing, bro, does not make any sense. Like, they're complaining about us not re-signing Sexton. Sexton was playing, brother. This is not an attack on Sexton, but Sexton was playing. Where was he? The blokes had 5 try assists all year.
Wait, Sexton's only had 5 try assists all year? No, that can't be right.
Bro, I'm not even joking. I was looking it up the other day. I couldn't believe it.
5?
I could not believe it, bro. Let me confirm.
Really?
I think it's something like 5 try assists all year.
Surely 15 or something, man. Surely got it
Yeah,
wrong.
you would think
5.
so.
Come on.
Bro, he doesn't have... I'm telling you, it's
they're winning anyway. Something's going right.
Like, he's had 6 try assists and 6 line break assists.
Jeez, mega returns.
That's my
he's
point.
Playing his role.
No, no. My point. The point that I'm making is that, again, the hysteria is unfounded. I'm not saying that that Sexton is crap. I'm saying that this hysteria from the media is unfounded. We were doing well, right? up until the 60th minute, our attack was really poor. I'm not going to deny it. Our attack was poor against the Broncos. They defended very well.
You guys got a lot of detractors, lots of detractors.
But my point is that the media hysteria, especially from our own fans who can't seem to recognize that, hang on a bloody second, our team is actually not that bad. In context of our season, it just, I expect more from our fans. 9 times out of 10, the interactions with fans, they're so intelligent, they're so well thought out. But the minute the media jumps on our backs, it's like they lose, they get the wobbles and they start to buckle. The media is never going to do us any favors. The media has always thought our fan base is regressive, our fan base are terrorists, our fan bases are savages. Like, the media doesn't like the Bulldogs. The media has never liked the Bulldogs fans. And so when they can get on the Bulldogs,
that's that News Corp organisation. Well, Phil Rothfield's been going after the Dogs because he'll never give Phil Gould credit. And he's now seeing, only 2 losses back to back. So he's using it as his platform to really go hard after the Dogs. And, the Daily Telegraph gives him the platform, the audience, and they obviously give him the back page to peddle his propaganda. And obviously he's got his little T-boys and Tower boys that run around and also help him out and write headlines about the Dogs as well. So like that Bulldog Richie and some other, like James Hooper and whatnot, whoever's writing crap about you guys. So, it's let them do their shit. At the end of the day, the best that you guys can do is just keep winning. And the fans can keep rocking up to the games. I thought 25,000 on Friday was, it's still a big crowd, but I'm a bit disappointed, man. I want to see 40 or 50,000. I think, but look, no other side will get over 15,000 to a Friday night game anyway. Yeah. So, but that's all he's got to keep doing. Keep celebrating, keep winning, go to Belmore, celebrate. They can choke on their own vomit, these journos, and your team can keep winning, and they can also have sleepless nights, these journos as well.
Look, just to put it out there, I just want to put it out there, right? Earlier in the year, Buzz Rothfield was saying a couple of things. Number one, he said, I'm on the Bulldogs. He said, I'm on the Bulldogs bus. That was the first thing that he said. The second thing that he said was that the Bulldogs can't win a premiership with Sexton at 7. Yeah? What did he say? He said the Bulldogs can't win a premiership with Sexton at 7. The minute the Bulldogs go out and try to make that change, who's jumping up and down their throats? The bloody Buzz Rothfield. Again, this is an appeal to the fans, whoever watches this. All I'm saying is, don't let the hysteria, don't let the media bashing get into your psyche. Like, even bloke in a podcast, Denning Camp Guru and that, they're usually pretty measured. And I thought they felt deflated at the way the Bulldogs performed. They were like, I'm not writing them off yet, almost like coming a step down. And for me, why I'm saying that about Denning Kemp and stuff is that they're not Bulldog supporters. They don't get it. They see a loss and they're like, oh shit, the Doggies are done. They see a loss and they're like, oh shit, the Bulldogs, they're not contenders anymore. It's almost like they've forgotten that not even 2 weeks ago we versed the Panthers, right, in what was game of the season that I guarantee you most teams wouldn't have been able to keep up with. 100%. Yeah, I love Denning Camp. I love Guru. I love what they say. I love watching them. They're great. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a really good footy podcast. Right? But to see the media writing us off the way they're writing us off, I just think it's really funny because, there's an ugly, stench from the media. That's what they like doing. Yeah? And again, I've always got to say, how can you write us off after that? How can you write us off after the season we've had? We've lost four games.
Just get behind your team.
That's my point. So quickly, we've got a couple of super chats. We've got a few super chats. I just want to point out. John Sard says something absolutely fantastic. I have to say, super fantastic, right? John Sard, not going to lie, Birdo is our 5'8" period. He kicks us out of trouble and can't do that from center after getting tackled with the ball. No more moving him around. Thanks. I have to talk about this very, very clearly. This is a great point by John, and I have to emphasize something here. Burden's kicking game not only gets us out of trouble, Burden's kicking game is the first part of a very long system that the Bulldogs employ to keep their opposition in their own half. So the way it works is this, right?
Can I just interrupt you? Did you see that
Yeah,
kick he put up in the first half? That
it was
spun
amazing.
and came back.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what a kick that was, eh?
He's
That was
incredible.
insane. That was like a torpy, kind of like held up in the air. So his kicking game is very important. He needs to do it more.
Look, I agree, but see, his kicking game is one
Anyway,
part
back
of a
to it.
very
Sorry, I
long
just
string. One
remembered
part
that
of a
kick.
very long string, a very long process. We get the ball. First winger takes a run. Second winger takes a run. Center takes a run. Forward takes a run. Fullback takes a run. Dummy half gets it to Burden on the left. Burden kicks it down. Who chases? Kick out all the time. He's the best kick chaser in the game, right? Full stop. He will run all the way down. He will put pressure on the winger or fullback. The line will also rush up following him. In the first 3 tackles, right? There's always 3 or 4 men in the tackle, right? What you do when you move Burden from that position of kicking is you undo that whole chain. It's a domino effect. It ruins our beginning and it ruins our end, right? That's what happens when you move Burden from 6. People would love to say Burden isn't 6, Burden isn't that, but he's so central. He's like the keystone in both our attack and in how we set up our defense. That kick is so vital. And I don't understand how people can say, oh, Burden is this, Burden is that. Burden is fantastic. And over the last month has been one of the form 6s in the competition. All I want you to do next game against the Cowboys, I ask everybody on this chat, please pay attention, right, to how the process happens and how it all runs so perfectly and systematically. It's going to be winger 1, winger 2, center, prop, fullback, Burden kick. Kick out chase, line in a row. That's the way it works. That's the way it happens. And when Burden isn't there, it throws it all off. If Burden is at 6 and he can do that, I'm telling you, that sets up our whole game. His kicking is fantastic. Yeah. So this point here by John Sard is so important. It's such a good point. And no matter who we're missing, brother, I don't care if we're throwing bloody Daniel Sulika for feet at center. Burden needs to stay at 5'8". A couple more super chats. By the way, I have to say thank you so much for all the super chats. I can't be grateful enough to you guys. Well, these super chats, what they do is they just help us pay for the services that we use to get our content out there. So thank you so much, guys, for your support. Thank you, John.
Eddie, this one's for you, mate. Slightly sparkling. But does anyone have a drinks company happy to sponsor us? I'll gladly drink, honestly, probably half a dozen or a dozen of their drink on obviously on camera, and I'll put up an ad and whatnot. We got what do we have? 12,000 reach or something on Facebook or something. But
we get 2 million reach. No, we get 2 million reach a month across.
Well, I mean followers or something. But yeah, if anyone's got a drinks company, I'm more than happy to go ahead with it.
Shout out to Norm for giving us a $15 super chat. Thank you so much, bro.
Norm.
We love you. We appreciate it. We love all your support, even though we may disagree very often. And then Jamie Deesdale with another 10. Fucking legend. Can we just be happy where we?
I always like bringing up that 66-0.
Yeah, it was actually almost to the day. It was literally almost to the day, right? 2 years to the day that we lost to the Knights 66.
You were traumatized.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah,
I'll never forget that episode. That was some dark days, mate. Dark days. Anyways, that's in the past now.
But yeah, look, I think do I think that we're at our peak? Not even. I don't think we're anywhere near our peak. There's a lot of work that that Seraldo and the team needs to do, and I think once we get this next month, all right, our draw is pretty. With no disrespect, it's going to be a little bit easier, and it helps us build up to going into the final 3 or 4 weeks where our run will be hard, right? So, we've got the Cowboys, we've got the Broncos. I think then we've got the Tigers, if I'm not mistaken. I'll just bring up the draw quickly. So I'm not concerned in the slightest. Look, we need to win 6 games of our last 3.
What?
Of our
9, you mean?
Sorry, 9. 6 games of our last 9 to make it top 2. Last year, top 2 needed 40 points. We're on 28 points. We only need to win 6 games to make top 2, 5 games to make top 4. We're on 28 points. Again, it's going to be difficult, but we've had difficult times, and The fact that we're going through this right now will only make it better for us as we get into the difficult periods, as we get into finals. And by then, I think by in the next couple of weeks when Satili Tupanua comes back, I do think there's going to be a call made on Sexton, whether he goes to 18th man or goes straight back to New South Wales Cup. I do think that right now, all Serrato is doing is holding his nerve. He knows that there's a push for him to make some calls, to rip the Band-Aid off, but he's not going to do that, right? And I applaud him for that because sorry, quickly, just TM, I didn't say it was 6 points, it's 6 wins, so 12 points. I think we need 12 points to make top 2.
I definitely think he's will win at least 2 out of your 3. I mean, sorry, 2/3 of your game. I think top 3 somewhere there, or top 2 somewhere there, maybe even minor premiership. They're really gonna the players come back now. There's no more rep commitments after tomorrow.
I think it's going to make a big difference for us.
Oh yeah. This is as they say, where you separate the goats from the sheep. So it's always now, for some clubs it started last week. For some, a lot will start this week and next week. So this is the run home. This is it. This is where they get momentum into the finals.
And look, next 4 weeks we've got Cowboys, Dragons, Sea Eagles, Tigers, Warriors. 5 games.
Not a hard run.
Yeah,
but
very winnable.
Shouldn't get complacent either.
If we get 4 out of those 5, which I reckon we could do 5 out of 5, no joke, we can win 5 out of the next 5. That sets us up for being in a good position. Then we've got, Roosters, Storm, Panthers, and Sharks. And look, can we win 7 out of 9? If we can't,
Roosters, Storm, Sharks.
So Sharks right at the end.
Tough last 4. Wow, that's all right.
Yeah.
Well, the draw's kind for the next 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it gives us
but
time.
Complacency is a big thing. You don't want to be losing those 5 games.
Well, I mean, after the losses that we've had, complacency is definitely something that we'll be working on. And I think if you look at the run home, like the Broncos, like I just want to call out Hus because he's talking a lot of shit, but doesn't realize that for such a shit Broncos team, the run up is actually really tough.
It still is.
Do you know what I mean? Like the Titans, the Broncos have the Titans this week. Well, I think there could be a big upset this week by the Titans. Then they've got the Eels who aren't.
Did they have the Titans again? Haven't they played them twice already?
And Moses might be back for that game. Then they've got the Rabbitohs who aren't playing bad footy. Then they've got the Storm, who
Rabbitohs aren't playing bad. Oh God!
Look, they had a bad game on the weekend.
They've had a bad last 6 weeks.
But there are a lot of opportunities for the Bulldogs to really start giving giving this comp a real shake up and starting to build those systems and those processes that made us who we are. So that's it. Anyway. Look, who's saying we talked that much shit last week? I'm here on hello, Sahla. I don't want you to go anywhere. But all I want to tell you is this, right? All I want to tell you is this. Up until the 60th minute, before we just sort of gave up, you guys were very diabolical and played like the Broncos have been playing all year. We collapsed. It was a bad collapse, but you guys were the beneficiary of that. Come finals time, you guys will be. You're going to have an issue. You're going to have a real issue. It's almost like because they've won some lucky games over the last few weeks, the Broncos have forgotten how bad they actually are. You don't just shed being shit. Just like we don't shed being great. Reynolds had the worst 60 minutes of rugby league I've seen by an experienced half ever, almost worse than DCE. So, go back to your donkey cave or wherever you came from, because the Broncos are a bit of a joke. So there's no need to say that anymore.
Oh, God. I hope you guys made it in the finals, man. Oh, God.
Look, bro, they'll be lucky. They'll be out first.
That's who you want in the finals, huh?
Listen, the Broncos will be sixth. The Broncos will be 6th or 7th, and then they'll get spanked by the Sea Eagles or by the Dolphins.
I don't think Sea Eagles will be there.
The Dolphins or the Panthers or whoever doesn't end up coming up.
Dolphins, Panthers, Sharks, Roosters, those sort of guys should be able to haul them in and overtake them. I think the Panthers are already ahead of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, now I want to talk a little bit about. Look, I don't want to get into the statistics of the Broncos game. I'll put my hand up and say that was a really poor performance. I expect a big turnaround. I expect a big turnaround from the Bulldogs. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about. Actually, before I go on, Dibbo, do you have any final thoughts about that Broncos game from a neutral? What do you? Am I talking like? What do you think? Do you think it's fair for me to say that even though we weren't that great, that loss was on us more than anything?
Yeah, of course, it was ugly. He's that last 20. What happened to the defensive line? Well, that was horrible. They haven't defended like that for most of the year. But to do it in 20 minutes, or 15, how many tries they concede in 15 minutes? Conceded four tries. Yeah. How many line breaks they give up? 6, 7? It was just
too many.
And then, like you said, they couldn't pack a scrum. They didn't know how to catch. They were getting drilled in tackles. Like, yeah. Anyway, it's holes were appearing in defense. It was a schmozzle. It was you didn't see that whole year. And I know why some Canterbury fans, a lot of Canterbury fans, are absolutely livid because they don't want their season to go to shit from that last 15, 20. I don't think so. It's only your 4th loss of the year. And I did point out last week that it's a difficult game because you had your lineup against Penrith. They had their lineup, game of the season. And then you come the following week and both sides are missing players. They're way below you. It's shit. I tried to point out last week why it's tough to get up for these sort of games.
Yeah, and look, it was. And again, like our attack was horrible even in the first half. Like I know that, and again, it goes back
Cobbo, to. I don't know what Cobbo was doing out there for about. Anyways.
Yeah, but it goes like again. I'm always going back to about like, as a 7 who's trying to demand a new contract and who's trying to demand $500,000 a year. Sexton was given the lead there, right? Serraldo told him, bro, you're the 7. I'm not going to move you from 7. I'm going to keep you there. I'm going to move Burton to center because I think you can do the job, right? Sexton comes out and does nothing. He's had 6 try assists and 6 line break assists all year. Someone mentioned it earlier. Mitchell Moses had more or the same number of freaking try assists or just, 4 try assists in one game. So for people to always come back and keep telling me, Sexton this or people complaining about Sexton and that, again, I don't buy into it. We weren't good enough on Friday. We came out expecting to win. I think we were overly emotional as opposed to ruthless, and that led to our downfall. Now, I want to talk about the Cowboys game. I want to talk about this team, and I want to talk about implications for how I think we're going to perform, right?
Here's the lineup. Jeez.
So the lineups are here.
This is good.
Right? I just want to say quickly, while we do have you here, if you are watching on YouTube, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to click subscribe. Share this video with your mates, anyone who loves footy. As you can see, we get heated and passionate, and we love talking a lot of shit. In terms of if you're watching us on Facebook, thank you so much for joining us. Please be sure to like the video. Come over to YouTube, give us a subscribe. We've got some really exciting things coming up. Got some exciting things coming up on YouTube in the next couple of months, and we do love having all you guys. We've got Bulldogs fan mentioning, oh my God, the Kettle Podcast, bro, I love this channel. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome. Thanks for having us. And everybody that's still in the chat, still in the comments, please,
we should have a fan day. Everyone can meet Elmo in person. I'm already looking at your Dogs lineup and thinking, already making mental notes which player I'll replace. Already.
So I want to talk about I want to talk a little bit about this Bulldogs makeup. So the first thing that stands out at me is, why is Kiraz on the left? Him and Stephen Crichton. Yeah, so usually Kiraz is playing outside Crichton, but against the Panthers, he was playing outside Sherry. And it for me, what it does is it causes a little bit more shuffling around the team that I think is unwarranted. It's unnecessary. It's really unnecessary, right? I don't know. I don't know why Seraldo is persisting with that. I don't know if he thinks that there's a deficiencies or it was a Montoya deficiency or if it's Akira's strength. Looks like he'll be lining up here against Braden Burns, because it looks like Talangi is on the extended bench, even though I think Talangi will probably come in.
You guys should still beat them. I'm looking at their lineup.
Look, we've
Anyways,
got
I'll be
a
disappointed.
far superior performing team.
I'll be actually disappointed in Canterbury if they've coughed this up.
The second thing is Inari Tuala over Blake Wilson. He didn't pick Wilson last week. He hasn't chosen Wilson this week.
What's happened there? Know. Have you guys re-signed Blake Wilson for next year?
No, I don't think so. I think it's probably his time to leave.
He's probably going to go to St. George then. They need wingers.
Look, I hope he doesn't. I hope he goes to a team, that deserve him.
Sure. Not one of the rifles. No, anyways, I know they were talking to him.
You see, like Brian Dibb thinks that, Eddie Abs thinks that Wilson is not first grade material. I disagree. I think that Wilson not only has speed, but Wilson has the positional smart as well as the finishing ability, right, to be the winger. If you remember, every time there was something exciting happening, Wilson was in position. Wilson had the speed to make it happen. Montoya doesn't have the speed. That's why you always find him out of position, in those really strong plays. He's got the work ethic. He has a lot of runs in him. When he was playing first grade, I think it was averaging at about 180 to 190 meters per game. Again, he has no defense. I disagree. I don't think Montoya has great defense either, but we still stick with Montoya because he makes 200 meters a game and he does the tough carries, which for me, I think Wilson will do all that and more. I'll die on this hill that I think that Wilson is being wasted.
I think Brian just agree, or Brian definitely agrees with you. I think, but I think he's just pointed out, I think Wilson, I think it's just the meters that's the only difference in terms of Wilson and Montoya. Montoya's he's a workhorse, but yeah, he's got flaws in his game, but he's a workhorse.
I just don't think he's a well-rounded player.
I would have had Wilson ahead of Tuala. Like, from what I was reading in the comments last week and the week before, Tuala wasn't exactly setting a reserve grade on fire. And I don't understand why. I think Curran plays better when he starts because that's how it went for last year and this year. He started for you guys. Now, all of a sudden, in the last few weeks, he's on the bench. Does anyone know what the reasoning behind that is? Or is he just resting him up before the last, maybe the last 6 weeks of the season or month of the season? Could be a reasoning behind it. Maybe he's carrying an injury. We don't know. But does anyone know anything? I mean, I didn't see anything in his form to suggest that he warranted a bench spot. Maybe unless he's trying to give Sam Hughes more game time or he's trying him out maybe as a starter. So there's a lot of things that happen behind closed doors we don't know about or can't see the reasoning behind.
Okay, so yeah, first thing I think is Seraldo has a very high view of Tuala. Seraldo thinks Tuala is a hard worker. He thinks he's got the X factor, and as long as Tuala's not injured, I think he'll be there. Yep. And I think if Tuala plays even semi-moderately decent, even Montoya will struggle to make it back into the team in 6 or 7 weeks' time. That's the first thing. The second thing is Curran is not a prop. Curran is too small to be playing prop, and so is Harry Hayes. I don't think Harry Hayes is a prop. What Seraldo is doing, Seraldo is carrying fit players on the team, on the bench, not props, right? Not big bodies. He's carrying just fitness so that they can come in, do the dirty work, shore up the defense, take the carries, right? But tire the teams out. That's always been the game plan. If it wasn't, he would have had both Daniel Saluka Fafita and Sam Hughes somewhere in the team, right? But Seraldo's not going for. He's going for the small ball, right? The small ball. That's what what's his name? Seraldo does, and so that's why I don't think it's a big problem as long as we've got Max King, Sam Hughes pumping out 45 minutes each. But again, I don't even think Sam Hughes can pump out the 40 minutes. So it's one of those things where we've made do and we've been okay, right? Harry Hayes and Josh Curran come on and they do the hard yards, and then Kurtman comes on and tears them up in the middle. I actually think against the Broncos, we missed man as well. His attack up the middle. I think we definitely missed him. Now the other thing is I expect either this week or next, Serraldo's going to rip the Band-Aid off and just throw Lockie Galvin in at 7. I thought he would have done it this week. Obviously, he hasn't. I reckon he's gonna do it soon. Whether it's this week or next week, I reckon he brings, when Tupanua comes back from injury, he brings Tupanua onto the bench, and then he throws either Sexton or Galvin out, and I think it's going to be Sexton that gets thrown out. So overall, I actually don't think it's a bad team, with the exception of having Kiraz on the left. Overall, I reckon it's a well-rounded, strong, fit team that will have way too much for the Cowboys. Way too much for the Cowboys, and I'm expecting a statement win on Saturday up there at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. It'll be a tough game, but it'll be a big game. It'll be definitely a big game.
Why is Murray Tuolangi on the bench for the Cowboys, or not even on the bench on the reserves list? What's happened there?
He was injured last week.
Okay.
He had he had a calf problem. And
so he might be a late addition, or he just won't play.
Yeah, he might not play. Yeah.
Former Bulldog Harrison Edwards, I've noticed in the Cowboys 17.
They've got him playing at lock, which I think was his best position. I think that's a good one for me. I think that's
Braden
strong.
Burns.
I was always a fan of Braden Burns, and I think he's doing very well for the Cowboys up there. Very injury prone, but he does have.
I think you guys should be able to get these guys like 22 to 14. So you should get there. A win's a win. You go away from home and you win, especially up in North Queensland. It's like you went to a whole new country. It's a good win. I think it's further to fly to North Queensland than to New Zealand, for example.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think so.
What I think will happen, I also think that either Crichton or King will be rested. I do think that one of them will be rested. I just think that Serraldo is going to take the opportunity to give them a rest as we come into the finals.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Maybe.
The good thing
I'm not saying they will.
Not this week, because I was about to say it's a Saturday night game. They got a good 3-day turnaround, 4-day turnaround. 3 days.
But also the travel up to North Queensland and the travel back.
Yeah, it's tough. You're right.
Critters had a quad problem as well. So I just think that there may be an opportunity there to rest them. I just want to answer some comments here on the in the chat that we don't have 40 points in us. I actually disagree strongly. I think that's extremely unfair to the Bulldogs. I think we have the point in us, and I think that's what Serraldo's trying to work on and trying to tweak. I disagree with this completely. That 4 tries max is what we've got. That's completely unfair judgment. And I think again, this is why I say this could be a really big statement win for the Bulldogs. To go up there to North Queensland and actually put some points on. So I do think that we have it in us, and I think that our attack is going to improve considerably. I think we've shown signs of it when we've needed to, but let's see how we go. I'm going to say for this one, I think we're going to win. I think we win 38-12.
Jeez, if they win by that much, the Cowboys are really, really horrible. Shut their season down already. Honestly, Put an X on the Cow. If they lose by that much on Saturday, put an X for the Cowboys. They got no chance of making it. I don't think they'll make the 8 anyway, but geez,
I don't think they have a
38
chance to
12.
begin with.
Might as well throw them to the wooden spoon or something. Far out. Oh, at home as well, 38-12 with a team flying from Sydney with 4 players backing up. I got them winning like 22-14, to be honest. Something like that, anyway.
Do you know why I'm saying 38-12? I think that, as you pointed out last week, it's tough to be coming off such a big game, right? And then not, and then backing that up against the Broncos, right? It's not good.
You got 4 boys coming back. It helps, and they're all stars. Kiraz. Yeah. Kiraz alone is a back line.
We are a top 4 team. Top 4 teams don't lose in the way we lost last week and then come out and put another shit performance on the back of it. The performance against the Panthers is where we're at. The performance against the Panthers.
If the Dogs go up to Queensland Country Bank Stadium this week and lose, I'm going to replace you on the podcast with Hoost. Better not lose. I'm confident they'll win. I'm tipping the
Broncos are going to lose to the Titans this week.
Where's that game at? Gold Coast?
It doesn't really matter. It could be played on Mars.
You'll be watching intently. Right. You'll be cheering every Titans try.
Oh, mate, I'm going to be.
We should get footage. Can we do a watch along?
Honestly, you know what?
Saturday night.
It's not very PG. A watch along is not very PG. Trust me.
All right, can we do a watch along for the Broncos Titans game? In that case, Elmo gets revenge.
Honestly, I don't really care that much about Brisbane, but it's just because Brisbane fans.
I'm loving this. This is good. I love this. This is healthy.
Brisbane fans. We lost against them twice this year, which is fair enough. And honestly, it doesn't really matter that much that considering what's happened. But Broncos fans have lost 8 games. They've actually been garbage all year, and now all of a sudden they think that they're something special. You guys won. Well done.
Bulldogs 22, Cowboys 14. I mean, I'm not always right, but I don't know, that's what I feel. I feel like he's going to get the win. I'm looking at their lineup.
I think they've got a decent lineup
this year. They even got carried to a few wins, the Cowboys. They've been dreadful. Honestly, you guys should win this. Not even playing your best, you should win this game. You got your 4 big guns back.
Yeah. Look, I honestly think this game, especially the way the way we can attack, I think that we will put 30 on them. I
wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
And it's going to be a statement game. I think the problem with the Cowboys has been that not only do they lack fitness, but they definitely lack
big battle in the forwards. They're back 5. They're back 5. Besides Drinkwater, I don't like at all. Well, even Drinkwater hasn't been nothing crash hot. Even their back 7.
Leiba and Purdue, I think are great young guns. I think they're good young guns.
Outclassed, totally outclassed.
Oh, I agree.
Wingers.
I agree. It's with the exception maybe Nari Tuala, but I think everybody's giving Nari Tuala shit. But it's only his first game back after being out for so long.
Good little forward battle, we'll say, for a while up there. It's a nice one. You got Ruben Cotter, you got Jordan McLean, Reece Robson. They got some Origin players. Jeremiah, they got a fair bit of Origin players backing up too. I forgot about that. So Nanai, Cotter, and Robson from the forwards,
and Dearden as well. Don't forget.
And then you got obviously Harrison Edwards playing against his old team, and you got Drinkwater, who for a few years I thought he was Origin quality. Don't go and crap this year. Cohen has played Origin. Good game. I mean, good little battle in the forwards. I like the forwards. I like a battle of forwards. Very good.
Their forwards,
very good. Still tipping the Dogs.
Their forwards have nothing on our forwards. It doesn't matter how big they are. It doesn't matter how big they are. It's about how fit are they, right? How capable are they of matching it with our fitness, with our go forward? Can they go forward? Can they go forward, be better than our defense? It's never about how big you are. It's how good is your go forward compared to our defense, right? And if we're switched on, No matter how big you are as a forward pack, your go forward doesn't matter because our defense is going to snuff you out. That's ultimately what it comes down to. So, I think back in the day, big forwards versus small forwards is great, right? That's how it was. But now the game has changed completely, and everybody's moving to try and find, a good link 13 who's not as big and things like that. So that's what I think. It's going to
like
come
this
down
forward
to.
battle. They've on both sides. They've either played rep or international. Like, if you think about it, McLean's played for New Zealand, as has Griffith Neem, Reece Robson, Cotter, Nanai. They've all played Origin. And even Cohen Hess on the bench there. And then you go to the dog side. Kings played Origin. Marnie was in Origin, but he had to pull out. Sam Hughes will get there one day. Kickout's an international. Preston's Origin. He's been, 18th man or 19th man. He'll get there. Kurt Mann's Origin. Curran's New South Welshman, or was he Kiwi?
Pretty sure he's New South Welshman.
Anyway, he's been in the discussion. It's going to be a nice little forward battle. I like this. Very good. Love it. We're going to get fireworks.
I just want to point out, TM's mentioning we are conceding 21 points on average. Throughout the year, no, we're not. We can look at anyone's last 8 games. We can pick and choose any number of games from any team and say, we're conceding this or we're conceding that. I disagree. You can't pick and choose. Let's look at the whole season. It doesn't matter what you think. The last 8 games. Okay, let's look at the last 8 games. I want to call this out, right? Round 10, right? The Raiders only scored 20 against us. Round 11, the Roosters scored 20. Round 12, we got smashed. Dolphins scored 44 against us. Round 14, right? The Eels only scored 12. Round 15, Rabbitohs only scored 18. Round 17, Panthers only scored 8. So, I think you're skewing the way you're looking at how we're conceding our points. I just don't think I think it's completely disingenuous to look at it that way. Over the season, our defense has been good. So, that's what I think. I think that, if you look at the whole season and you look at how good we're actually doing, we're doing well enough, and we're still better than others. All right, let's look at the Broncos. Let's look at the Broncos because we're talking about the Broncos. How's their defense been over the last 8 weeks? Since round 10, they had 22 scored against them by the Rabbitohs. They lost 30 against them by the Dragons, 34 against them by the Seagulls, 34-6. They scored 44 against the Titans, and they had 14 scored against them. They had 28 scored against them by the Sharks, 12 scored.
So again, ordinary.
Yeah, all right. Let's look at another team, a team that's above us. Let's look at a team that's above us, right? In the last 10 rounds, yeah?
Raiders.
We scored 32 against the Raiders, right? The Titans scored 24 against them. Warriors only scored 10, but it was a 16-10 game. Roosters scored 24 against them. The Rabbitohs only scored 12 around 14. Tigers only scored 12, but they lost. They won 16-12. The Raiders scored 18 against them, and the Dragons scored 24 against them. So again, like, we're still better than all these teams. So I don't understand what you're expecting of the Bulldogs. We're actually still better than these teams. Let's look at who's the Storm. All right, since round 10. Since round 10, the Storm had they scored 64 against the West Tigers. They lost to the Sharks 31-26. The Titans scored 16 against them. The Cowboys only scored 14. Then they beat the Rabbitohs by 1 point. They had 24 scored against them. The Sharks only scored 6 against them. And then the Cowboys scored 20 against them. So all in all, while you want to talk about the points this, points that, the truth is that the Bulldogs have still been one of the best, if not the best, defensive team in the competition, considering where we're sitting on the ladder. So again, you can talk about all the bullshit you want to talk about, but you can't just take that away, right? You can't just take that away and look at the Bulldogs in isolation, then not look at how poorly the Raiders have defended or how poorly the Storm have defended. It just doesn't make any sense, right? I understand you want to talk attack, sure, attack, fine, no problem, but don't sit here and talk about defense because it doesn't make sense. defense doesn't make sense to talk about at the end of the day. Quickly, penalty Broncos is here to gloat. Well done. We lost it. You guys didn't win it. Great stuff for you guys. I can't blame the ref, can't blame anyone. The Broncos won it, and well done. That's really all there is to say, because ultimately we lost it. We were that much better than you guys, and you guys were that shit. We sort of just said we're gonna win anyway. That's genuinely, honestly, it's like they literally said the Broncos are so bad we don't have to compete. And look, to be honest, if the Bulldogs could just have defended even just one set, it would have been a poor finish to the game, but we would have won, and that's okay. But the Broncos are desperate. They've had a really poor season, and so that's why, again, that game doesn't really upset me too much. See, Brian DP is arguing that 8 weeks is half the season, but I just went through the same 8 weeks for the Raiders and the Melbourne, right? Who have had just as poor, if not poorer, defense than us. So again, if we're comparing to the teams that are above us, there's no argument there. There's no argument there. Eddie Abs, Broncos were shit. What were we in the last 20 minutes? We were diabolical. Shit doesn't even begin. It doesn't even begin, right, to explain how bad we were. But honestly, congratulations to the Broncos. They won that game, and it is what it is. But yeah, so my call, I'm going to say 38-12 to the Bulldogs. I think that they're going to make a statement. Dibbo reckons it's going to be 24-12.
Well, 22-14, but I'll take 24-12.
Oh, okay, 22-14.
Well, if you think about it, kickers hardly miss, so maybe it was a bit unfair to say 22. You got some good goal kicking there.
Yeah, look, again, I just think that if we really want to make a statement, we need to win big. We can't afford to win by a small margin, in my opinion. We're going to need to win and win big. I'm going to put a poll up just quickly.
Wanting to see how many people put Cowboys 13 plus. Oh, man, this will be good.
1 second.
I'm going to stick to my prediction and put Broncos 1-13. I mean, Broncos 1-13. Dogs 1-13.
Dogs 13 plus. Cowboys. And while I do have you here, guys, if I could just ask you guys to give this video, give us a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. Make sure you've done all the things, all this, all that. I really, really appreciate it. Just, responding to polls, liking, subscribing, all these sorts of stuff just helps boost us up in the algorithm. Dogs concede average 17 points per season. Storm concede average 18.5. Dogs score 23. Storm score 32. I'm not arguing that. I was talking about you've taken 8 weeks for the Dogs and ignored that. If you want to talk about attack, we can talk about attack, and I agree. We need to be better in attack. There's no getting around that. We need to be better in attack. But you started talking about defense, and so I responded to defense. I'm not going to respond to attack when you talk about defense. And so that's what I was responding to. All right. So there's the poll for the Cowboys. Please be sure. I want to talk quickly about Game 3 Origin, the decider. So Munster's dad died. Condolences to Munster. Can't believe this has just happened. What a shock. Imagine preparing for a decider and then your dad passes away. It's how unexpected. What another, like, what a series it's been so far.
Who we got tomorrow anyway? I'm going to go New South Wales by 6 points.
I think you're right. I think it'll be close. I'm going to go New South Wales by.
I think the week gets worse for him. Actually, it can't get any worse for him, I guess, but it doesn't seem to improve.
Yeah, I'm going to say New South Wales by 16.
Nice.
I think that we're going to win by a big margin. they've called Papali'i in this week for this game.
Is that a retirement game?
I think they know that they need a big boy to try and match up to Payne Haas.
He'll play limited minutes. He'll play
You think
limited
so?
minutes. Yeah.
I think
minutes.
I think he's been I think he's been great for the Cowboys. I think he adds a certain element of aggression and size.
Sorry, which aren't we talking about Papali'i from the Raiders?
Yeah, Josh Papali'i.
How come you said Cowboys?
Did I say Cowboys?
Oh, you meant the Raiders. Raiders,
yeah.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, I think he's starting, isn't he?
I think they've named him on the bench.
Oh, have they? Okay. All right, he's still getting his limited minutes. He's just older than, obviously he's older, he's heavier. He's not the spring chicken he once was. And geez, what a spring chicken he was, because he used to kill everyone, that guy. It was fantastic. I'm actually happy to see. I thought he did retire a bit early from Origin, so I'm actually glad to see him get one last hurrah, whether it's a win or a loss. It's a good way to bow out playing another Origin game. He was certainly good enough to be there for a few years more.
Oh, no, they've got him starting. They've got him starting.
Yeah, all right, he'll probably start for the first 15 and then come off, and then maybe come on 10 minutes for half time or come off after the restart or whatever it is. He'll get a good half hour, I reckon. I can't see him getting more than that.
He plays limited minutes for the Raiders. I don't think he plays like long stretches of.
No. I think he did it once this year because I think they had someone got sim in, and then I think when Tarpany got sim in, and then they had a suspension or an injury. But yeah, he did that one long game. Still up for it, but he'll get limited minutes.
Yeah, I think he'll struggle. I don't think he's going to do as well playing in a fast-paced game.
No, he won't. He was still good, but just like they won't put him for long stretches because yes, you're right. He probably will struggle.
Yeah. I think I'm saying I think that if we target that left edge with Latrell Mitchell and Brian To'o, I reckon that we're going to wreak havoc on them as long as we're sort of well disciplined and Ashley Klein remembers that there's two teams on the field. I don't think Queensland have a chance. Genuinely, as long as we don't get the game isn't rigged, right? I reckon that Queensland won't know what to do.
I'm amazed he even got the third and final game. Still, every year I'm amazed. When he gets a grand final, when he gets the biggest game of the weekend, when he gets a State of Origin game, when he gets the Anzac Test match, when he gets the Anzac Day match, I'm always amazed. Anyways.
Yeah. So TM Ram is saying that there's a rumor Edwards isn't playing. There was that rumor, but Frank Panisi, the manager or whatever he is, confirmed that they're all playing. They're all fit. Payne Haas is playing. Brian To'o is playing. Edwards is playing. Everyone's fit.
Nice.
So yeah, that rumor is not correct. Everyone is playing. I know that Payne Haas has
the man of the match.
Limited training, but I reckon it'll be a good game. Man of the match.
Crichton?
No, I think Cleary.
Agreed. I'm going to go Cleary.
I'm saying Cleary. I was tempted to say Haas. I'm tempted to say Payne Haas because I think he's going to have a blinder.
I'm going to go Cleary.
But I think Cleary's going to... Cleary's had 10 days off. He's done all the training sessions. He's going to be kicking in general play. He's just not going to be kicking for goal. I think Lomax will be kicking for goal. I reckon Cleary's going to absolutely brain it this week. And Cleary knows the pressure's on. And if anyone handles pressure and eats it up, it's Cleary. And I reckon Cleary's going to be fit and Cleary's going to be mentally ready.
Maurice, I'll wear a Dogs jersey if they make the grand final. So it's a good chance. 50% chance.
50% chance.
Oh, that's a good probability. Because they've got to be making at least the prelims. That's a good probability. I've got them at least making the prelims.
Yeah. I think
I'm giving you, 50% chance. That's good. It's a high probability.
No, write us off. Honestly, I love being written off I love the doggies being written off. We always seem to get written off all the time. Honestly,
would anyone have thought? Would anyone have thought 2 years ago you'll be playing, prelims?
No, absolutely not.
We thought finals. Remember, we were mulling over with Gould's rebuild. Obviously, a lot of people didn't even like Gould, and a lot of them didn't even know he used to play or coach him to a grand final win once upon a time. But yeah, I had my faith always in Gould. I think they're ahead. To me, they're ahead. I didn't have him challenging for a grand final berth this quick. Honest.
Yeah,
like next
I
year,
agree.
Not this year. I'll be the first to admit they're ahead. Don't give a shit what anyone says. Whether they're overachieving or not, the fact that they're challenging for a grand final berth, they're ahead already.
Mm.
They were probably a few players short, or a few seasoned players last year, like experienced, of going further into the finals. But even last year was an outside chance of making the finals. We thought you may not. They did it with flying colours.
We're a few weeks away from cementing ourselves in the top two. And look, we are 100%. I think we're 100%. We're 100% ahead of schedule, but that doesn't mean that we're going to accept mediocrity for the rest of the year. We're going to make the prelim and we're going to make the grand final. If you look at our team, if we stay fit, look, if we lose a Critter or if we lose, I think if we lose a kick out or a Max King, I think it could be very tough, especially at the back end of the season. But if we are fit and our players are all fit, I reckon we're probably one of 3 or 4 teams in the whole competition that can make the grand final. If you look at out of the top 8, I think the only teams that could even sniff a grand final are the Storm, the Raiders, the Panthers, and the Bulldogs. Everyone else is just making up the numbers. It's just the way it is. I think, it's really exciting. I love being written off by the media. Every time we get written off, we come back, we prove to the media what we can do. So that's where I think there's an interesting discussion happening in the chat where someone, it's who's 87. Oh my God.
What?
He reckons that Herbie's better than Critter.
Yeah, I do.
That's cool. That's cool.
I'll tell you why. No, it's
really
what you like.
I don't really care.
It's what you like at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, if you had a team, you would prefer Critter over Herbie any day of the week. It's simple as
Can't
that.
I have both? I'm allowed 2, aren't I?
Well, they both. Well, actually, one plays left, one plays right, so you technically can.
I'm allowed 2. I'm just saying I'd have Herbie in my team.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. Critter is objectively a better center and a better player overall than Herbie. Herbie's amazing, and if he keeps going like this, he'll be one of the best we've seen. But I'm talking as an overall player. You can't take one statistic of a player and say he's the best. You could, if you want, you could just say Saab is the best winger in the game because he has speed. But we know that Saab is actually a pretty poor winger. His speed makes him a decent winger, but he's not a great winger. He's not a good finisher. Doesn't have good defense. Doesn't have good positional play. As a full player, if you look at the whole package, I'll tell you one thing about
Saab.
Critter is a much better. I'm not talking about Saab. I'm giving you an example.
Yeah, but if his inside men aren't firing, he can't do anything.
Then he's a shit player.
He can't do anything. He can't do anything. He needs Turbo, but Turbo's too injured these days, and he needs Turbo, DCE, Carrick to be running riot, and it hasn't been happening. So he can't do anything. It needs to evolve his game rather than waiting just on the wing.
Yeah,
I think he found himself dropped, if you remember.
My point is that you can't.
Sorry, Zartar, but I was just giving some home truths there.
I'm just saying you can't take one aspect of a player and say, oh, he's better than this guy because it's one aspect. If you want to take the whole thing as a package, the whole player as a package, Critter is the best center in the game by far. By far. Like, you can't even tell me you cannot tell me, anyone compares at the moment in terms of as a complete player. He's fantastic, right? This is not shitting on Herbie. I don't know why everyone thinks I'm shitting on Herbie. I'm not. I'm just saying that as a center, as a complete player, Stephen Crichton is far and away far and away the better player at the moment. So that's objective. Herbie's a great player, but objectively, as an all-arounder, you would have Crichton over Herbie in your team any day of the week. So there's no arguing that, unfortunately.
Jamie, unfortunately, no.
It's Star Day.
It's not just limited to the men; it's also extended to the women.
So. The Star Day. But yeah, so what do you think, Dibbo? What's your call for the Queensland game?
New South Wales by 6.
New South Wales by 6. Right.
Tough game.
Tough game. Will be a great game. I hope the pace is intense. You know, I hope I hope it's a good game. I really, really hope it's a good game. You know, I get the feeling. I get the feeling that Ashley Klein will make it all about him.
And Queensland.
You know, so in the vote, who will win in the Dogs vs Cowboys? All right, 76% have said Bulldogs. 40% think 13 plus. Win that poll. I am going to put a poll now about who is better. Who is a better centre? Critter, Herbie. Start poll. All right. It's 8:54. I just want to.
Well, we asked for a score. We asked for the origin, anyways.
Well, anyway, vote on that poll. Whatever. Vote on that poll. Give me a thumbs up. Whatever. My bad. I want to go quickly through the draw. Just talk about some of the upcoming matches before we end, because I think there's some very exciting games coming up this weekend. What do you reckon, Dibbo? You got 10 minutes to do that quickly?
Yeah, fire away. I was going to message Chip, but yeah, anyway. I'm just giving Chip the reality, but.
Sharks Dolphins at Shark Stadium.
Do Dolphins get Nickaroom out? O'Sullivan's back. Trey Fuller. Wow. Far out. You think the Sharks will finally pull up their socks? Don't you think? Imagine the Sharks lose again. Well, they've got every reason to lose this game, just the way they've been playing the last few weeks. They've been dreadful, honestly. Even they even scraped by the Dragons because the Dragons just decided to capitulate in that second half. But they've been dreadful, the Sharks. Like, surely, do they pull up their socks and start making a run? Like, they got a tough game against the Dolphins. I know it's at home. When the Dolphins want to make a run, because they're not exactly sitting comfortably in the 8. They're like on the edge of the 8. And they got players backing up from Origin. This is a tough game to pick. Let's go Cronulla 22-16. As much as I'm inclined to tip the Dolphins, and I love tipping the Dolphins, I'm going to go 22-16 to Cronulla simply because they're at home and they're desperate for a win. And hopefully
my problem is I think the Dolphins have too many points in them.
Oh, I hope so. I'll be happy.
I think it's going to be 36-24 to the Dolphins.
Yeah, or 30-28. That's a good one, yeah. But I'll just say Cronulla just for them to win by 6. You think they'd win one? Sure. I'll be happy if they lose, but anyways.
Yeah, I'll be happy if they lose too. But my problem is the Sharks just are too inconsistent. I
feel like they still get things going their way, and like as much as I want them to see them losing and start crashing and burning away from the 8, I feel like they'll snag the win. Anyway, next game. Enough of my gibberish.
Melbourne and the Knights.
Storm. Knights, they've aimed up somewhat, but Storm.
I reckon this could be a danger game for the Storm, not because...
they can't win them all, but yeah.
Yeah, no, because they're also missing Harry Grant and Munster. They haven't been named. They're probably going to be rested.
Not late edition?
They could be, but given that these players have been playing Origin year after year, I reckon they may be rested.
All right, then we are inclined to tip Newcastle in this one. I'll still go Storm by 4.
Yeah, I'm going to go Storm by 6. I think Storm by 6 or 12. I don't think they'll win like by a big lead.
And no surprises if Newcastle win, as you.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
look, they're on the reserves list. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they are in the reserves. That's why I think they may not back up. Yeah, I've got to be a good game. You know, if they had Fletcher Sharp, I think that the Knights would have been a much better chance to win. That's the only problem.
Where's Dylan Lucas?
Yeah, he's there. He's playing in second row. Yeah, alongside Kaipi Spore.
Yeah, nice. 2 good second rowers.
Yeah, against a very good second row team in Storm. Sean Blow and Elias
amazing team.
Great.
Katawa, you see, there's
bro,
God diffuses bombs. Anyway,
playing like a center, bro.
Bloody yo.
Yeah. I reckon. Yeah, I reckon it'll be a close game. But I reckon the Storm will get it. Then we've got Dragons against the Roosters at Jubilee Stadium.
Roosters, definitely Roosters. They tailed them up in the Anzac Day match, and Walker's back as well. Dragons are still missing a lot of players. I've probably been kind to the Dragons here, but I'll say Roosters 28, Dragons 14. Yeah, and the Roosters lost last week. They almost pulled it off in the end, but yeah, you expect them to bounce back this week. They smacked the Dragons already earlier this year, so no.
Look, I feel sorry. I feel sorry for Corey Allen. Don't know why he got dropped, and how is Blake Laurie there over Pacific Tonga and Viliami Fafita?
Is Michael Milo in the team?
Yeah, he's up on the bench.
Yeah, he was amazing last week in a losing effort.
Yeah, he was great.
Wow.
Yeah, I got the Roosters here. Look, I mean, I want to say,
you'd be inclined to go 13 plus. It's all the signs are there.
Look, the Dragons showed a lot of fight, and they do get Valentine Holmes and Luciano Leilua back. And Hamish Stewart on the bench. So I'm sort of like, I reckon Hamish Stewart might start and Luciano Leilua go back to the bench.
Where maybe look at their bench. Spencer Linu, Egan Butcher, Steve's a good hit. Docker Clay's so underrated, man.
Radley's back.
Heavy hitter back. Look at Fiketti, he's killing it. Crichton, geez, Lindsay Collins, Connor Watson. Yeah, they're going to kill us.
Yeah.
28-14. I've been kind to the Dragons here.
Honestly, I'm going to say 24-20 to the Roosters.
Jeez, he's being really kind, this guy.
Yeah, I think
anyways, next one.
To the Roosters. Give me a sec. I just want to write this down because
he wants to come back at me and say, I told you so. I'm not going to complain. I'll be happy if the Dragons pull it off, but yeah. Hey, Norm, he's actually Elmo's favourite because 2 years ago, even last year, Elmo was saying how amazing he was, and I was trying to tell him how horrible Blake Laurie. But
he had a good game.
Tell me, but he got your player of the year. Yes, our team was dreadful, but
he had a good year in 2023. He's been shit the last 2 years. I'm not going to sit here and defend the player that's been crap. He's been crap for you the last 2 years. That's the truth.
Of course, you're right.
Yeah, he was good in 2023. We've spoken about the Dogs versus Cowboys. Dogs by plenty.
The Snakes, where are they? Eels.
Then we got 2 p.m. on Sunday at Go Media Stadium. It'll be the Warriors against the West's Tigers.
Is this in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Fuck, you think Tigers can go back to back, or do you think they'll cough it up? Warriors, Tanner Boyd's playing.
Yeah.
Spewing Metcalf got injured, and they're starting to get injuries, the Warriors.
Hey, I'm going to get killed for this. No, actually,
Tigers.
No, I can't. I think the Warriors will have too much.
You know what? I'm going to go Tigers. Well, why is Dewey back at centre?
Because Luai's back. Actually, you know what? Do you know what? Nah, the Warriors.
I would have kept Dewey at 6 or 7. If Luai wants to play 6, then Dewey can do 7.
But Latu Fainu was incredible, bro. You can't move Latu from 7. He was great last week.
Yeah, but Dewey was so good at 6. Anyways,
Bryce,
because I've been looking at Tigers thinking I'm gonna go Tigers 6. I love doing a bold tip. I love it. My bold tip was last week was the Broncos. Tigers are gonna be my bold tip 6. If you can call it even a bold tip, they can definitely win this. Tigers by 6.
Nah, I can't. I'm gonna go Warriors by 12.
Yeah, all right. No, that's good.
I'm gonna go. I can't do it. It's just the team's so good. Hey guys, late to the Bulldogs 13 plus all the best. Living life with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, bro. We love it. Thank you so much for your support, man.
Yeah, Dogs will get back on track this week. I'll reinforce that. I'll be quite surprised if they don't.
Yeah, I think it'll be very much panic stations if they don't, in my opinion.
No, I still wouldn't panic. Or
Then we got
Eels.
Eels and Panthers. So
Far out.
interestingly,
Lomax shouldn't play.
they haven't named any
Can I look at the
of their.
bench? If he's
Yeah.
oh, depends how they pull up from the game.
Yeah.
Far out. I'm gonna go Panthers. Those young guns went over to New Zealand and towed them up. Remember?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Panthers again.
Yeah, I'm
Panthers
gonna
by
go
12.
Panthers. Yeah, I'm gonna
Regardless
go
who plays
Panthers
and
by
doesn't.
plenty. Yeah, I'm gonna go Panthers by 12 at the very least.
I think
Definitely.
Eels are just building up for next year the way things are going, which is not a bad thing.
I think the Eels will do well. I just don't think they can come over the best of.
They've definitely improved.
Yeah.
Without even their halfback. The halfbacks hardly played this year.
And then the last one, 6 p.m. at Seabus Super Stadium. It's the Titans up against the Broncos.
They almost tip off the round, and he's going the Titans by 16. I'm going to go Broncos by 8 or 10. I'm going to go 8 or 10. Keep it 10. What did you say, Titans by 16?
Titans by 12.
Well, nice. He stuck by it. I like that.
Yeah.
Make a bold tip. And you stick
so
by
interestingly, he's got Jalen the Groot at winger, which I don't think is a bad move.
He's fast. He's actually the fastest at the club.
Faster than Alafia.
He actually beats off what is his name? He actually beats him in the sprints. I just think once he adds a bit more size, those half breaks he was making from fullback will become line breaks. Just needs to push a bit harder. He's young. He doesn't have the strength yet.
David Fafita is back as well.
Nice. Wow, Elmo. Something can be. If the Broncos cough it up here, I think who's better make an appearance on the podcast next week.
Nah, bro. Like all typical Broncos fans will come out and talk his shit until he remembers.
No, but if they lose, he needs to make an appearance so he can.
He won't.
He won't. I think he will.
No way. He won't. But yeah, I think it's going to be a Titans win by 12. I think it'll be their week where they cause an upset. I think the Broncos will get a wake up call just to remind them how truly shit they are. And with that, it is 9:05. Really appreciate everybody still here. There are 43 people in the chat. I love you all. Eddie's still here. Norm, Zata, living life. Brian. Who else?
Rob's asked the question. Did anyone watch the women's game? I didn't watch it. I'll be honest here. I was making my way to the stadium.
Oh my God, what a great point. Thank you so much, Rob. I apologize. I honestly was not intentional that I left it out. Honestly, I was just
Did they win?
Completely. Yeah, bro. They actually smashed the Knights. They played so well.
What the Knights the Premiers like 2 years in a row or something?
Yeah, they won it. They did
beat the Knights.
Yeah. They did lose Tamika Upton. I think she went back to the Broncos or whatever it was.
Yeah, that's right.
But look, they played so well. I think the number 7, Taylor Preston, was really good. Andy Robertson at fullback was great. After 12 weeks out, 12 months out of the game. That Takarengi, the prop, she played very well. It was a great performance overall by the women, and I thought they showed a lot of grit and determination that is in the Bulldogs DNA. I thought they showed a lot more grit and determination than the boys did on the same night. And you could tell Braden Viliami is sort of building that same sort of DNA, same sort of style to the women that Seraldo's building in the men. And I think that there is going to be a lot of overlap in the way they play, which is great. Some of the plays they put on were really good. Thank you so much, Rob, for mentioning it. I kind of feel quite bad for not covering it better. Next week, I'll cover the women's game a lot better. I'll cover it with statistics, and we'll talk about the wins and losses and how they're traveling and what their potential is next week, inshallah. So again, forgive me guys for not covering the women. That was my mistake, and I was just really pent up to cover the men and everything, all the drama surrounding it. So apologies, and I will try next time. Very quickly, Jamie Teasdale, another $5 super chat. See you boys later. Until the next one, up the Dogs and Queenslander. Bro, what do you have to ruin it? We love you, Jamie. We love everything you do. We love you being part of the podcast, but then you ruin it by saying Queenslander. It's like when you wear a nice, bro. It's like when you wear a nice suit and then you wear like shitty shoes just to
I
ruin
can't.
the look.
I can't say that to my work because head office is up in Queensland. And I was like, well, who pays your wages? I'm like, yeah, all right. So I got to, sit there quiet.
Live and Life just mentioned something I think is really important, and I really appreciate this comment. I watched the Bulldogs women's game. It was actually pretty good. More importantly, my wife and daughter loved it, and I think that's great. Like, I really appreciate you saying that, because I think that's what it's all about, right? It's about expanding the reach of the game. It's about getting, a wider breadth of support for the game, and making women feel like they're a part of it, and give it. I think it's great. And I hope that the Bulldogs NRLW team continues to grow. And look, we'll definitely support the NRLW team. But with that, it is 9:08. We try and sort of time it to finish at 9. Unfortunately, that never happens. But really appreciate everyone. We love you all. We love you, Morris, Eddie, Jamie, Norm, Live Life, Brian, everyone here. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Look, up the Dogs. They're gonna win, and people don't know. If people don't know, no one has any idea what's coming, because the Bulldogs are going to be flying soon. Love you guys, and have a good night. Take it easy. Thank you for your time, Dibbo. We'll see you next week, and I hope the Dragons have a good game.
Thanks, champ. Appreciate it. Dogs to win.
See you guys.
Thank you.